Hello, Seiiti Arata. If you feel like time goes by too fast, there is an explanation for that. Let us make a symptom evaluation to see whether that explanation applies to you or not. One of the symptoms is thinking that the children in your family are growing up too fast, or that your friends have suddenly become old. Another symptom that time is passing by very fast, according to your perception, is the impression that the world has become crazy, that society is now behaving in a completely different way than what you were used to. And the worst symptom is feeling that you don't have time for anything, that you cannot manage to do everything that you want to do. Anyway, thinking that time is flying by means that you're living with the feeling that you're not enjoying your life, which diminishes your happiness levels. Of course, that is all a very subjective perception. After all, speaking objectively, a day still has 24 hours, each one of these hours has 60 minutes, and every one of those minutes has still 60 seconds. Time still goes on at the same speed as it always did. What changes is our perception of time, the way our mind understands the passing of time. The good news is that subjective changes depend on you, the subject. If your perception of the passing of time has worsened, then you have in yourself all the necessary resources to make the passing of time change for the better. Yes, you can make it change and have the good feeling that time is passing by more slowly. Your age changes the way you see the passing of time. When you were a child, it seemed that a year lasted an eternity. But if you're already 20, 30, or 40 years old, you must have the feeling that the years pass by faster and faster every time. As this is an experience that so many people can relate to, scientists decided to study the topic. In the 1970s, Dr. Robert Lemlich created a theory called subjective acceleration of time with aging, which explains why we have that feeling. This theory says that the perceived duration of time diminishes in the mathematical proportion of the time we have already lived. For example, for a 4-year-old child, 1 year represents 25% of the life of that child. That is why, for that child, the time between one birthday party and another seems to take an eternity, especially if the child is expecting to get a toy as a present. But for a 40-year-old adult, the same period of time represents just 2.5% of their life. That is why, for the adult, it looks like their birthdays are coming faster every year. Unfortunately, there is not much that you can do about that. Actually, the older you are, the smaller a fraction of your life will be represented in a year. That means that this tends to get worse if we only take age as the determining factor of time perception. Now, the good news is that there are other factors that influence the way you perceive time. And as opposed to what happens to age, you have the power to act and alter those factors so you can make time go by more slowly. The more routinary your life is, the faster time will pass by for you. The proportion a year has in children's life is not the only factor that influences the way they see time in a different way than we adults do. Because when you're a child, you're still trying to figure out how the world works. Every day is an opportunity to discover new things. You're constantly doing things for the first time. The first time you go into a swimming pool, the first time you ride a bike, the first time you write a word. The human brain processes routine information very quickly. But when it is presented with any new information for the first time, it takes the brain longer to organize and process that novelty. Every time you do something new, your brain is attentively registering that new thing. A month in the life of a child probably has many more memories to carefully register by the brain than a year in the life of an adult who's following just a routine. And that explains why a child perceives time in a different way than an adult does. You can see that by yourself. Your brain remembers the first time that you did something important, but probably has already forgotten about something very routinary that you did yesterday. The first time you rode a bike, it was something new, so it stayed registered in your brain. But the lunch you had yesterday for the thousandth time during your work break is just some trivial information that the brain does not even bother, does not even try to register. When your brain has already registered all the patterns that happen several times in your routine, your perception of time changes. Things seem to happen faster because you're repeating the same routines every day. You get dressed the same way to go to work, you take the same road, you eat the same food, you repeat the same tasks. Even the way you escape from your routine is always the same. You watch the same kind of series, you read the same types of books of the same genre, you check the same type of people on social media. You can include novelties into your routine. You can see how your time starts passing more slowly. Neuroscientist David Eagleman suggests that you can change your perception of time and make it pass more slowly by simply adding new things to your routine. Your age does not really matter. If you intentionally devote yourself to including new things into your everyday life, well, your brain will register those novelties with attention in a very similar way that it used to do when you were little. And in that way, it will look like time is passing by more slowly. Those novelties don't need to be exotic or expensive, like traveling abroad or going skydiving or buying a new car. Even simple actions like reading about a new topic or trying to cook a new recipe can move your neural circuits and keep your brain focused on those new things. Now, if you want to make time go by slower, put yourself intentionally in new situations. In situations that require your brain to pay attention and register new memories. In order to do that, one of the first things that you can do is to change the way that you use technology, especially your mobile phone. Technology made our lives easier, but it worsened our perception of time. In the book Enlightenment Now, Steven Pinker shows with facts and data how technology created free time for people in recent years. Imagine the time that used to be spent washing clothes manually, making lunch, doing the dishes, taking a horse to go to work, going to the market to buy food that didn't last long without a fridge. That same person today has access to a washing machine, a dishwasher, a robot that cleans the floor, a fridge, a car. With some touches on the screen, the person can even receive the weekly groceries at home, their lunch, and practically any other product that they can afford from anywhere in the world. That is without saying that the advancement of knowledge also allows us to live much longer. People used to live an average of 40 years, and today's life expectancy is around 80 years old in many countries. So it is easy to conclude that the advance of technology has created a lot of free time and it has given us some extra years of life to enjoy that free time, but where has all that extra time gone? Does it make sense to you to say that actually time seemed to pass by more slowly in the past? The same way that technology has accelerated our ability to multitask, it also increased and accelerated the amount of requirements we have. Every second we receive news in our phones, news that makes us anguish, messages that make us do more commands from our bosses, more clients asking us to do more work. You can slow down your perception of time if you intentionally start using technology in a more smart way. If you are used to watching your phone all the time, always checking the same apps and group messages and social media, you're acting on autopilot. And your brain does not even register those memories anymore. In order to leave that cycle, try to also include novelties in your relationship with your phone. Like, stop using the same apps, social media, and message groups. Something you can do is to check every app that you use, every message of groups that you're in, every channel that you participate, and ask yourself, is this app, this group, this channel making me happier? If the answer is no, try getting rid of them. Try to stay away from it for some time. Uninstall the app, leave the group, unsubscribe. The less notifications you receive, the smaller your perception, your impression that time is passing by too quickly will be, and then you'll finally be able to use that extra time that technology created to devote yourself actually to activities that contribute to increasing your happiness levels. Registering your own development makes the time you spent on it be worth it. When you're tied up to a routine in which you always do the same things, you may have the feeling that life is passing by without making the most of your time. And to avoid that bad feeling, you must register your own development toward your own big goals. You know, that extra time that you get from using technology in a more conscious way, you can use that time to make progress in your path toward your personal goals, and especially remember to register your progress. If you have some inspiring goals, and if you write down the progress that you're making towards those goals, you're going to be able to look back and see that the time you spent was worth it. The feeling of making progress also increases your happiness levels and makes you have the feeling that you're living more, as if time were passing by slower or as if it were being better used. Of course, time will keep on passing by just like it always did. Every day still has 24 hours, every hour has 60 minutes, and every minute has 60 seconds. But if you pay attention to what is actually happening, if you register your progress, include novelties in your routine, and avoid being sucked by other people's requests, you'll change your perception of time for the better, and you'll be able to see life passing by more slowly, quietly, and above all, more happily. The way we understand time is affected by our age, by our routine, and by the use we give to technology, not to meet other people's needs, but to make progress towards our goals. If you want to make time pass by more slowly, you can add new things to your routine. You can use technology with intention, and you can register your progress towards your biggest personal goals. With those simple changes, you can increase your happiness levels, but you can also use other techniques that have been scientifically proven by positive psychology to have a happier life. And if you want to know what those techniques are, right now you can access the happiness course at arata.se/happiness.